brought to you almost live from the Dude in the Basement studios. Why? Because that's where the good stuff is. It's Sips, Suds, and Smokes with your smoking host, the good old boys. And now it's sippin' time.
Yes, it's sipping time again. Hello and welcome to this Sips episode where everything good in life is worth discussing. As always, we are the best thing on at 2 a.m., except for today, which was the royal wedding was on at 2 a.m. Yeah. This is a 1-hour show that's allegedly entertaining for almost 22 and a half minutes on a good day. But that's still just an unsubstantiated rumor. We are still banned in all the states, starting with the letter A, as well as a certain buffet in Las Vegas after a very nasty incident involving Brent and a restaurant manager's very restrictive interpretation of all you can eat.
I can't imagine that.
Yeah, well, he's not here today, so we're going to talk about him. This is Made Man Bob, and joining me today are Made Man Maury.
Good morning, Bob. Love the basement today. Can't wait to hear all about the theme.
And good old boy Justin.
Good morning, Bob. How are you?
And good old gal Denise.
Good morning, gentlemen. It's a pleasure to be here again.
It's particularly damp in the basement today. So.
Yes, it is.
I wore my hip waders.
Oh.
For the amount of poop you're going to have to go through today.
Exactly.
Okay.
Not for the wet.
Yeah. Maury and myself are with the Bourbon Mafia. The Bourbon Mafia is a nonprofit organization composed of bourbon enthusiasts and industry professionals. With representation in 8 states, our members combine a love of bourbon with a passion for charitable work. The group uses their love of our native spirit to raise money for local and national charities through rare bottle auctions and other themed events. Check us out on Facebook at the Bourbon Mafia. Our show is also sponsored in part by the Fort Lauderdale Whiskey Society. To find out more about the Society and their events, you can visit them at ftlws.com.
Or on Facebook.
Or on Facebook, if you're a member of the group. If you're not, then you can't get on. So thanks for pointing that out.
You're welcome.
Knucklehead. Our show is also sponsored in part by Fine Spirits in Cooper City, Florida, home of the Automatic Machine, serving great wines, whiskeys, and other spirits by the glass. You can find them at www.finespirits.net. And our Sips segments are all about wine, distilled spirits, tea, coffee, and anything else that we can drink. And today's show, we're going to be tasting some whiskeys from Cooper Spirits and from George Remus. And here are the whiskeys we're going to be discussing today. We have the Slow and Low Rock and Rye. We have the Lock, Stock, and Barrel 13-year. We have the Hochstadter's Family Reserve 16-year rye. And we have the Lock, Stock, and Barrel 18-year rye whiskey. And then we also have from George Remus, the George Remus Bourbon and the George Remus Repeal Reserve. So why don't we have Justin tell us about our Sips ratings?
So today, we're going to be tasting and discussing these whiskeys and rating them with these Sips ratings plus our signature sounds. Here are those ratings now. 1. Give me a glass of water to wash out my mouth. 2. Nice.
Hey. I think it's his first time. I don't know. You want to wait? Yeah.
2. Nice. But what else do you have?
Pause.
Well, isn't that
There
nice?
you go. God, it's like show 300 for him, but he's getting it.
3. Interesting. What was this again?
Interesting.
4. Let's keep this secret to ourselves. Pour me another.
Classified.
A little speedy on the button, Bob.
I'm doing it on purpose.
I know.
5. Oh my. I was unaware anything could be this good.
Oh my goodness!
You know why he does the show. He gets to hear that sound once in a blue
And
moon.
neither one of you have ever heard that sound in your lives. Who are you kidding? Dear God. All right. Thanks, Justin, for messing that up.
Anytime, Bob.
So let's have Maury, who's over here chomping into bit, tell us a little bit about the Cooper Spirits Company.
Sure. Thank you, Bob. The Cooper Spirits Company was founded by Robert J. Cooper in 2006 and first made waves in the spirits industry with the introduction of Saint Germain.
Waves. Negative waves, Moriarty.
An elderflower liqueur that quickly became popular in the craft cocktail world. They continued to build upon this success by sourcing and bottling whiskeys from Alberta Distillers Limited, who have supplied some other well-known brands over the years. We're not going to mention those brands today. Today,
You obviously have a wonderful economy with words. I look forward to your next syllable with great eagerness.
I'm eager, too, to tell you about their start with Slow and Low Rock and Rye. Rock and Rye's history dates back to the 1800s when bartenders served unaged rye whiskey along with a bowl of rock candy that the customer could add to the spirit to, quote, take the edge off, unquote. As a result of the temperance movement, this early cocktail eventually moved to the pharmacy counter and was sold as a pre-bottled cure for just about anything that ailed you. This expression is based on the Hochstadter's original pre-prohibition recipe and is made using air-dried navel oranges from Florida, 100% raw honey from western Pennsylvania, Angostura bitters, and, of course, rock candy. It is bottled at 42% ABV. So, let me tell you about this.
Are you a member of the temperance movement?
I am not.
Okay.
Are
Very
you?
good. Because we'll show you to the door if you are.
Okay. That's cool. But I do like the idea of it
Remember
being
the
a
Temple
medicinal,
of Doom movement, but other than that,
medicinal product that cures what ails you. That's right up my alley.
My husband ails me.
That's why
As
cure it.
punishment for your desertion, it's company policy to give you the plague.
Why, thank you, sir. So it's got a nice light golden color. It's got a wonderful nose that's really dominated by oranges, navel oranges from Florida to be exact. Go ahead.
Candied orange peel. If you've ever eaten candied orange peel at any of the chocolate or chocolatiers, and they typically will dip it in dark chocolate, that's what you get, candied orange peel, which I love.
Absolutely.
But I get that on the palate. To me, this tastes a little bit like Mandarin Napoleon or even a little bit like Grand Marnier. It's got that orange peel, candied orange peel palate. It's a bit like having an old fashioned in a glass. It's not meant to be a cocktail, but really add it over ice and it's a real nice substitute for cocktail, particularly if you're at a bar where they don't have bitters or the ability and wherewithal to make a cocktail. So I think it's beautifully crafted. It's complex. It's interesting. Oh, no. Now what? Okay.
I definitely got the mouthfeel.
Justin's
of
cue
the
right there.
Grand Marnier.
Right?
Yeah. It's totally that. And with the orange peel palette that you described, Denise.
Yeah. So, again, nice balance, very lovely. What I like about it is many of the things in this category are coming in at 30 or 40 proof, but this clocks in at 84 proof, and it's wonderful. It's beautiful. It's very nicely made. I really enjoy it. It's not just a simple bourbon, but for what it is, it's fantastic. I gave it 4 sips.
Wow. That's impressive. Well,
And what do you think, Madame?
well, I have had a cocktail or two with Maury and Justin.
if I was married to him, I'd have lots of cocktails.
Well, when I'm with Bob, it's whiskey neat. Typically.
I don't want to say anything about Maury, but
But-
You weren't even born with the sense God gave the common dog.
I'm just saying.
But as I was saying, so I've had a cocktail or two with Maury and Justin, and I know that when it comes to cocktails, they tend to like an old fashioned. I'm more of a Manhattan drinker, so I love this. I think it's really well balanced for what it is. However, it's a little sweet for me, and that's why I tend to go toward the Manhattan over the old fashioned. But I can certainly understand the appeal. I do love candied orange peel, and I can see why Maury would give it 4 sips. I would personally give it 3.
Well,
Interesting.
be that way. I think maybe with a couple of rocks, I'd be interested in seeing what a couple of rocks do it to it. Just cut the sweetness, perhaps.
Well, Justin, what do you think?
I wouldn't compare it to any straight bourbon or scotch, but on its own merit, for a pre-made old-fashioned, I would give it 4 sips because they have the balance for the bitters and the sweet. They got it right. I agree with Maury that a couple of ice cubes might take it even farther. And I really enjoyed it. And I love the fact that it's like 82 proof. So you really don't need to do too much to it if you've got a party that's
you are an
surprises
alcoholic,
you.
so yeah.
Well, that's true. But
It's a party in a bottle.
yeah. Who wants to wait for the good stuff?
Oh, my.
Mm-hmm. So what's your rate?
I gave it 4 sips.
All
I
right.
already said that.
That's classified.
I was a little distracted by the noise.
I figured as much. What did you think, Bob?
I thought it would. I think I'm going to kill
Come on,
somebody.
lady.
Everybody wants to get into this basement today.
Absolutely.
God, who is
I'm
that?
so glad
The
that Bob
word is
put
out.
at least a buzzer or a ring or something because I had trouble getting down here today.
I swear to God. Anyway, I think it was very smooth. It went down very easy. In spite
Too
of
easy.
In spite of the proof, it went down much lower. A lot easier than the proof was.
Don't call it a girl's drink.
It's a little sweet.
Don't say
for
it's
me,
for ladies.
But it depends on your mood. If you're in a sweet mood, this is a great drink. If you're not in a sweet mood, it might be a little bit much for you. But you can really taste the orange on this. It definitely reminds me of Mandarin Napoleon, but with the whiskey edge to it. So you can definitely taste the honey in it as opposed to just rock sugar. Honey has a very definite taste that you don't get with sugar. I liked it a lot. This is definitely something I'd keep around the house, and this is definitely something I'd see myself drinking, watching a game on, with a couple ice cubes. And, yeah, I give it a solid 3.
Interesting.
And I thought Denise would be the lone wolf with 3 stars.
Sorry.
I'm not all that into sugar today. And we'll be back.
You're a little
Sweet.
bitter today.
He is.
Rolling clouds and crashing surf, iridescent dunes reflecting by the light of a rising, glowing moon. Seashore mesmerizing, night breeze hypnotizing. We've come across these back roads none too soon. Look to the left, to the right. Keep your eyes on the road, my darling. Wondering if we're only passing through. Open roads and open windows. My hand is yours forever, sweet love.
And we're back, and we are talking about some whiskeys from Cooper Spirits and George Remus. So we're moving on to our next whiskey. So who wants to tell us about the next one? Denise, you want to do it?
Sure. So this is the I may have my numbers out of
This
order.
is the Lock, Stock, and
That
Barrel
happens after a
13,
couple
glass
shots.
number 2.
I think I'll let Justin do it if you don't mind, only because I didn't insert my 13. I kept my original page. Sorry about that. Maybe I'll do the next one.
So now we're looking into Lock, Stock, and Barrel 13-year straight rye whiskey. It had a light brown color to it. The nose had inviting cardamom, licorice. It was pretty rich. The palate was different. It had a nice vanilla, spice notes to it. And the finish was long, but not really complex. I enjoyed this whiskey more than I thought I would. I was looking forward to some expressions that were coming after this, but it was a nice surprise. I gave this one 3 sips.
All right.
Interesting.
All right, Mr. Happy, what'd you think?
I think this one made me happy. It needed a little bit of air. And once I let some of the steam blow off and the air get in, I thought it was delightful. It's got a lovely golden color. It's got a beautiful nose, classic of bourbons and ryes. It's got a nice palate and mouthfeel. Went down smoothly. It was nicely balanced. had a nice medium finish. I like it. When it first came out, I thought it was really it. Subsequent to that, they've come along with a 16-year expression of lock, stock, and barrel, and an 18, which we'll be tasting today. But I love this. I think this is a really well-made whiskey. It's hard not to give it 4 sips. So I'm going to give it 4 sips.
Okay.
That's classified.
All right. Denise, what do you think?
I actually like this expression. Let's see. Where should I start? I like the color. I thought it was very nicely balanced. I got some honey, some vanilla. I got some leather, and I really like that. On the palate.
Leather and lace she likes.
I thought the palate was just slightly robust, and that was really nice as well. I thought the finish for me, I think in the beginning, but it's really mellowed now that I've tried it again. But it was a little oily, and that's fine too. And a nice warmth in the back of the throat, and I really like that. And then I thought the flavor just really grows from there. So I really like this. I thought it was very easy drinking, well balanced, and I would give this 4 sips.
All right.
That's classified.
Yeah, I definitely picked up the leather notes on it. On the nose, you really get like old, worn, soft leather. A lot of toffee, brown sugar, a little bit of spice on it.
It's just got all the good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's, when you think in rye, it's, a Canadian style rye as opposed to an American style rye. It's not, so the spice isn't so upfront. But really, this one, once we opened it up, the nose just, continued to grow and continued to grow. Goes down nice and smooth. Got a lovely mouthfeel to it.
It really does just get better and better when you go back to it.
That's classified.
What's interesting about all these ryes coming out of Alberta distillers is they're all 100% rye mash bill, which is pretty much the only place that most of us know of that are, other than some really tiny boutiques that may be making 100% rye. Most of the American ryes, as we all know, come out of Indiana at about 95.5. And these are definitely a little bit different.
Well, they're much lower. MGP is doing 95.5, but
right.
Beam, everybody else is doing a much lower when they're doing.
Yeah, of course. But I'm talking when you're saying 100%. Most people are referring to the Canadian LVI products.
Yeah, that's pretty much in Canada. That's sort of the norm. So, all right. Well, we're on to our next one. Who wants to do the next one?
I'll do it. All right. Okay, so our next product is the Hochstadter Family Reserve 16-year rye whiskey at 61.9% ABV. So this is as I said, the 16-year rye. It's sourced again from Alberta distillers, from 100% rye mash bill, as I just said. It's aged for 16 years in new charred American oak barrels, and it's bottled at cask strength, and in this case, 61.9% ABV, bottled in good old Philadelphia, PA. This is a beautiful expression. In fact, I think I might tip my hand and say that it could be my favorite thing so far today. It's just the 13 on steroids. It's amped up on the palate. It's amped up in the proof. It's really got all the flavors that we've talked about in the 13, but amped up. It's got a beautiful mouthfeel. It's got a nice viscosity. It's got a nice medium to long finish. It's just about near perfection for a Canadian all rye whiskey. Can't say enough good things about it. I think it's really the sweet spot at 16 years of age, and I gave it 5 sips.
Oh my!
All right.
Yes! 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 Yes!
He wanted to hear that sound again.
I never hear that.
You talk first. I talk first.
I don't know. Who goes next?
I'll go next. So I would agree with Maury.
Oh, my God. That never happens.
That's true. Okay, never mind. I'm not going to agree with Maury. I will agree with Maury that it's a very nice whiskey, and I really enjoy it. What I got on the nose was mint, vanilla, and I think perhaps some clove.
Are we drinking the same whiskey?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I have bigger bulbs than you.
Bigger bulbs.
You don't know the study
I
about
think you
men
have
and
bigger
women
boobs, but I don't know if
and
you have
whiskey
bigger bulbs.
and our sensory bulbs, and ours are larger. So,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, okay. I'll read that to you one day.
Scent.
I'll educate you on bulb size. Anyway, so on the nose was some mint, vanilla.
You're telling the urologist
some
about bulb
cloves.
size. That's interesting.
On the palate, I got the vanilla again, the clove, the baking spices. The finish for me was medium. It was a medium finish, maybe a little dry. I really enjoyed it though. 4 sips.
All right. Wax poetic from your 4 sips. You're tough today.
Oh, I really wanted the 5-sip orgasmic.
No, I definitely, now
one.
she mentions it, I definitely can pick up the mint.
Oh, hello. Okay.
It's right in the tip of your nose, right up front.
Thank you, Bob.
It's very, very faint, but it's definitely there. I don't know if it's mint or spearmint.
Yeah, it hits you after the
it's
first second or
it's
two.
Not deep up in your
front.
nose. It's right in the tip.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. See, she knows what she's doing. I mean, yeah, you made one mistake, but everything else works itself
And
out.
I mean, did you see the size of this guy's schnoz? You would think that he could pick up everything, but no, not today. Not the mint.
Cloves are prominent.
Yeah, you'd think with that nose, but then again, he's got tiny little hands. So, yeah, okay, never mind. Moving on.
That's not what everybody else says about the size of these fat fingers.
What do you think, Justin?
I really like the balance of this whiskey. It had the sweet and the heat perfectly balanced, and it was complex. A lot of expressions or 1 note, 2 note. This has several notes going at the same time, but they're all in harmony and they all work. It almost reminds me of like a Yamazaki 12 in its construction. I gave it 4 sips. I was very happy with this expression.
All right. Well, I hit the button. Didn't work. Let's try it again. There you go.
That's classified.
And I thought you were a good button pusher, Bob.
Well, he's a really good button pusher.
Did you see that look on his face? Boy, he just
Looks like a
smiled
little
from
child.
ear to ear when I said that.
I was born to press
Whose buttons can I push today?
Now, this one again, it once we opened it, it was good and gave it about 20 minutes to sit, and the nose definitely really opened up. I definitely do pick up the mint on it now that you said it. I'm picking up a lot of toffee. I'm picking up leather.
Maybe Bob has a big bulb.
And old wood, not old wood as in it's over oak, but just sort of that old, dry, tannic kind of bit of wood to it. I mean, it's got a lovely nose on it, and on the palate, hold on.
Bob's bulb's well trained.
Mm-hmm.
It's mouth coating, and it's almost creamy, but it's also slightly drying at the same time. So it's got some age on it, which if you don't like older whiskeys, you may not like it, but I do. This one's super. I give this one a solid 4.
That's classified.
All right, we're going to move on to the last one from Cooper Spirits, and let's see. I'll do this one, I guess. We're doing the Lock, Stock, and Barrel 18-year straight rye whiskey. It's 54.5 ABV. Like the last whiskeys that we've tasted, this one also is from Alberta Distillers Limited. Double distilled from 100% rye grain and aged in new charred American oak barrels. Again, older rye. Nose on this one is a little bit more muted than the 16, I think. But it doesn't have as much of that older wood character to it, which was odd because it's got 2 more years on it, but it doesn't smell quite as aged. But a little bit of citrus, a little bit of pear and apple, peach maybe on the nose. On the palate, again, it doesn't. You don't get the drying effect that you got on the 16. Usually when you get older whiskeys, you get that sort of, the bit more of the wood tannin. I'm not getting as much of it on this. But at the same token, the finish I don't think is quite as long as the 16. It's nice, it's mouth-filling, but it definitely drops off a little bit quicker than the 16. But an excellent whiskey. I really, really like it. I'm getting I'm definitely getting some nuts, maybe pecans, and maybe like tobacco leaf and leather on it. Really, really nice. This one I got a solid 4 sips.
That's classified.
Why do you look so surprised?
I just thought everything that Bob said was really interesting, and he described a really nice whiskey. However,
you didn't get any of that.
Well, I definitely got fruit, but it was banana.
Mm-hmm.
It was banana for me. So banana bread on the nose,
Really?
definitely sweet on the nose. And that's really interesting because typically I think Maury's really good at picking up banana, but for some reason, perhaps he didn't.
I didn't talk about this whiskey yet.
Excuse me. Okay, maybe you will. So on the nose was the banana bread, and on the palate was the banana, the ginger, and maybe some cherry at the end. And what I find most interesting about that is, although ryes, especially high ryes, 100% rye mash bill, it will be spicy, and everybody describes it as spicy. And I would agree with that, and you get the spice. But I have been known on many occasions to describe a rye as sweet and typically get my head handed to me. It's not sweet, it's spicy. However, there are times with rye that you will get a sweeter note, which is more of a dried fruit note. So at the end of this, I got the cherry. I got the banana bread up front, and cherry in the back.
Well, I will say.
And I thought it was a bit sweet. But you look at this, and it's what? 100% rye mash bill. So that's all I can say. I really liked it. I liked the finish. I thought it was a warm, medium finish, and I would give this 4 sips. I know that was lengthy, and I apologize, but...
That's classified.
I think it's interesting that none of these ryes are particularly characteristic of what most people think of as American rye whiskey. They don't really have a lot of spice.
I agree.
They are more Bourbon-esque. They are more dried fruit.
You just won't say sweet, will you?
They have a hint of sweetness.
Thank you. What about this particular whiskey?
Well, on this particular whiskey, I would agree with just about everything you said. I didn't quite get the banana explosion that you did, but I did definitely get banana. I haven't seen this much banana on a Canadian rye, as I've seen it a lot on some American ryes.
Sure.
But I definitely got banana.
And I wouldn't call it a banana bomb. That's so overwhelming. But
I like this whiskey. I like it a lot. I think the thing that brought it down for me is the fact that it's considerably more expensive than the others for 2 more years. And honestly, the 16 was the sweet spot. I think that this is, to me, a beautiful whiskey, very well made, but it's definitely not better than the 16. If anything, it's a millimeter below the 16. You add that to the much higher price. To me, it just, the value's not there. Again, super well crafted. Wouldn't pour it out if anybody put it in my glass. And for those reasons, I gave it 3 sips.
He's a grumpy guy today, isn't he?
Interesting.
I'm the only one who gave out a 5 today.
The 16 and the 18 are so different that I would think that it was different juice. I thought maybe I switched the glasses again like I've done before. But no, because my notes are pretty much on with everyone else on this one. And the 16's definitely better. The 18's not bad, but I had expectations that, 2 more years in the wood. I'm going to get more heat.
Kill it. It's going to kill it.
I'm going to get a longer finish. Instead, I got a shorter finish. And
it's also considerably lower proof. Mm-hmm. You know, the 16 was 61.9% ABV, and this one's 54.5.
And watering it down might have killed it. If we could get the cask strength Lock, Stock, and Barrel 18, we might all be happier at this table.
Okay. But
today.
I think that what they try to do is stretch it to keep the cost in line.
Yeah.
And they watered it down a little bit.
Yeah. And I'd like to know what happened the last 2 years of the aging process. Was it a cold winter? Was it a mild winter?
Have you ever been to Alberta?
Yeah. No, but
it's always cold.
I can imagine it's miserable.
They have cold summers, okay?
So it's probably ages like Scotland then.
It ages like an igloo.
So I gave it 3 sips. Because it's not bad on its
own. They're grumpy. But. I don't know.
Interesting.
I don't know. You guys, you're tasting something different than I am, so I don't know. I give up trying to figure out what you guys are talking about, but solid stuff overall. Really, I mean, the whole line from Cooper has been very, very solid. So, hats off to them. They're doing some good stuff.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, we're on to our next brand, and we're going to be tasting some whiskeys from George Remus. And Midwest Grain Products is a name a lot of people have heard of. MGP is an Indiana distillery, well known for supplying many of the smaller startup distilleries and some larger ones, we won't mention any names, with aged whiskey. Now, George Remus is MGP's first foray into creating their own brand and selling their own products to the public. They have done some very limited releases, Metzi Select. They've done a few one-offs for some events and things like that. I think I have a bottle of the Metzi Select around here. It was named after Greg Metzi, who was their master distiller at the time. Prior to Prohibition, George Remus was a well-known and successful Illinois criminal lawyer, which is kind of an oxymoron. Aren't they all criminals? With the passage of the 18th Amendment, Prohibition became the law of the land, but that didn't stop George. When many were looking to get out of the liquor business, he saw an opportunity and decided to actually get into the liquor business by buying up distilleries as well as pharmacies so that he could take that whiskey and then he could sell it as medicinal liquor under the terms of the Volstead Act, because that's one of the interesting things about Prohibition. You could drink whiskey, you just couldn't sell it. Couldn't make it, couldn't sell it, but you could drink all that you had, and you could go get a prescription for medicinal liquor from your doctor. Every week you could go to the doctor, and he'd hand you a prescription for a pint bottle of hooch, and it worked so well that I think at least twice during Prohibition, they actually had to do a distilling holiday and allow 4 or 5 of the distilleries to reopen and make new whiskey for like 60 or 90 days because the stocks were dwindling because so many people needed it for their rheumatiz or whatever ailment they had. Kind of sounds like the medical marijuana thing going on now.
Hysteria.
And we'll be back.
It's not just the destination.
Hey guys, it's never a good look when you untuck a long, bulky dress shirt. You may think it makes you look casual, but more than likely it just ends up looking sloppy. That's why Untuck It makes shirts specifically designed to be worn untucked. A casual shirt that's not too long and not too short. It's just right. Shirts designed so well, GQ calls them perfection. Untuck It shirts are a go-to for any occasion from casual to dressy. And not only do they look good, they feel great. If you're a woman wishing you can have one of these, well, Untuck It now makes shirts for women too. Shirts for her that are casual, versatile, and designed to last. Log on to untuckit.com and check out all the new arrivals. Use the promo code SIPS for 20% off your entire purchase. You can also visit one of Untuckit's over 25 retail locations across the country. Stop hiding your shirt with your pants and your pants with your shirt. Untuckit.com, your solution to perfecting casual. Use promo code SIPS for 20% savings.
And we're back, and we're talking about some whiskeys from Cooper Spirits and George Remus, and we were just going over some of the history of MGP and the George Remus brand. As we said before, George Remus was a man who got into the whiskey business right at the start of Prohibition, bought up quite a few distilleries to get their stocks, bought up quite a few pharmacies, because in addition to being an attorney, he was also a pharmacist. Apparently, it was a lot easier to go to school and get licenses back in those days. He sold those stocks through his pharmacies, but it's rumored that he would sell liquor from his distillery stocks to pharmacies and have the deliveries hijacked by his own men, then he could turn around and then sell that on the black market. He eventually got into bootlegging because, pretty much everybody did back then. And he was so successful at it that he became known as the king of the bootleggers, or as they like to call him, King George. He was a popular and colorful character, was thought to have been the inspiration for the title character in The Great Gatsby. But eventually George's luck ran out, and he was eventually caught and sentenced to 2 years in the Atlanta Federal Penitentiary. While incarcerated, he began bragging to his cellmate about how much money he and his wife had made and how his wife had control of overall money so, they could hide it when he was in jail. That cellmate happened to be an undercover federal agent, but rather than tell his bosses about this information, he decided instead to go and find George's wife and seduce her, and the two made off with all of his money.
That's
Brilliant.
a great story. I don't know who I'm more envious of.
I believe I read somewhere that at some point they tried to knock him off, too. So. But poor George, at least he has his own whiskey again. So let's try some of King George's lovely bourbon here. So the first product we're going to try is the George Remus bourbon. It's 40% ABV, non-chill filtered, made from a high rye mash bill, and it's aged for at least 4 years. And, just a classic bourbon nose on it. You get a lot of sweetness, brown sugar, caramel, vanilla. Just, nice, really nice, deep, well made. Let's have a sip. Yeah, you can definitely, we were tasting some of the Canadian ryes before, and now you're tasting an American style rye bourbon, which is not even a rye whiskey. And boy, there's a difference because you can really get the spice on it. There's more spice in this than the Canadian ryes. Got a lovely flavor to it. It's got some lovely caramel notes on the side palate and in the back. It's got just a touch of spice to it. Nothing overpowering. Got a medium finish on it. It's MGP. I mean, it's good stuff. I mean, they don't make anything that's not good stuff. I give this one a solid 3. I mean, this is their entry level, and this one is really well made. So, what do you think, Maury?
I agree with you, Bob. I think it's very well made. I think it at 94 proof, this whiskey drinks like an 80 proof. I mean, it really slides down easy. It's nice and smooth. It's a beautiful entry level whiskey. It's something you can put on your shelf for every day. It's not pricey. It's well made. It's got all the classic characteristics that you describe. It's really lovely. And, I think it's, anybody just starting out their bourbon collection. It's a must have. It's an everyday drinker. Goes down nicely. Can't say enough good things about it. Solid 3 sips.
Tell you what, Justin, hand me that water bottle. I want to try this with just a touch of water because it is a little bit higher. So, Denise, what do you think?
Well, unlike George's wife, I don't have the best of both worlds, so here I am just drinking whiskey with you guys.
Well, we can try and get Maury into the federal penitentiary if you'd like. That might.
I'm not complaining, and in fact, I completely agree with the two of you. It's a lovely whiskey, and I really enjoyed it. Interestingly enough, on the nose, I got some floral notes. I got the vanilla, but I definitely got sort of a light floral soap note.
Take that bottle and just put a drop of water in it. The nose really gets more flowery.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's perfect.
Now that you mentioned it, it definitely brings it out with just a touch of water.
I thought the palate was slightly grassy. I don't really get a lot of layers of flavor, but I enjoy it. So with that, I thought the finish was a little lighter, a little shorter, but it's definitely easy drinking. It's really pleasant, and I would give it 3 sips, and now I'm going to add some water.
Interesting.
Yeah, just a few drops in it, and the flowers really came out.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
Such a girly girl.
Yes, I am. So, all right, Maury, what'd you think?
I talked about it already.
Oh, wait, that's
it's
right.
Justin's turn. He's so quiet over there.
So this is a lot different than the non-chill filtered products that I'm used to, like Antique 107 and a lot of the store picks. It's well balanced. It's very smooth. There aren't a lot of different notes, but all the notes they hit are really good. You get the classic bourbon, vanilla. You get just the slight heat. This would be a whiskey that if I was bringing someone in who'd never had bourbon before, I'd say start with this, try this, just to acclimate their palate to the new universe of bourbon. And because it was so well made and with its age and bill, I gave it 4 sips. I was very happy with this expression.
Oh, very nice.
Try adding a little water. It definitely.
Well, let me try some water.
It definitely changes the nose on this. Yeah, and on the palate, on the exhale, the flowers really, with a little water, when you exhale, the flowers just burst out of it. So, yeah, it's their entry level base whiskey, but damn good for what it is. I'll give them credit on that. Again, if it took them this long to do their own brand, I don't think they're going to put out anything that's less than good quality. They've been doing it for a long time, so they know what they're doing.
They can be proud of this one.
All right. Let's go on to the next one. We're going to do the George Remus Repeal Reserve. Who wants to do that one?
I'll do it.
All right.
So this expression, the George Remus Repeal Reserves, 47% alcohol by volume, and it's a blend of bourbons from 2005 and 2006. It's 50% 2005 bourbon with a 21% rye mash bill, 15% 2006 bourbon with a 36% rye mash bill, and the remaining 35% is a 2006 bourbon with a 21% rye mash bill. And it doesn't really taste like it's a blend. It's just really nice. Got a dark orange color. I get fire and orange on the nose. On the palate, it was sweet, and it had a good oily mouthfeel, and it had good legs on it. When you turn the glass on its side and it doesn't immediately fall back into the whiskey, that's what the legs are, and this one had legs for miles. It was light, subtle, long finish.
Yeah, so does Megan Fox, but if I bring this home, I don't get locked out of the house.
And that's why you should have the Repeal Reserve and not Megan Fox when you come home. So you did good.
I can afford one. I can't afford the other one. So how many sips?
I gave this one 3 sips.
All right. Well, Maury, what'd you think?
I liked it. I thought it was very nice. I thought it was much more complex than the previous expression, which was well made, the George Remus bourbon. I thought this tastes very mature. It's delicious. It's balanced. It's got a lot of things going on. I liked it. I liked it a lot. I think it's a 3 teetering on 4 sips, but I'm in a 3-sip mood, so it got 3 sips.
He's in a mood.
He really is. Yeah. He is in quite a mood today.
What'd you think, Denise?
This is happy.
I am happy. I'm happy all the time. This is an interesting but very nice blend. I really, really like this. I like the color. I thought it was a light copper color. You really got like fire, Justin. But perhaps I just need more in my glass, and that may be the problem. Strangely enough, again, with this nose of mine, I got a faint, musty smell. Not unpleasant. It's actually a smell that I like and I enjoy. It's sort of really like a comfortable, really old home when you walk into it. And that's what I got on the nose. I know that's a strange description. You should see the look that Maury just gave me.
Well, you're in my comfortable, really old home, so maybe that's
on the palate, I agree. It's slightly sweet. I got notes of vanilla. I got oak, but I really like it. For me, the finish was medium. I really didn't get an oily finish like you did, Justin, but perhaps I just need to revisit that. So again, great blend. I love the nose. I love the palate. And to be perfectly honest, I give this 4 sips. I could drink this. A lot of this. Maury.
Tell us some more.
You're itching.
No, tell us more.
That's it. Your turn.
No, I already gave my turn.
Oh, you did?
Well, the mustiness that this expression has really reminds me a lot of the really classic older bourbons like the 70s Jim Beam, or even the same characters, the OFC 1911 that we opened on Facebook Live, where you've got that kind of old home, old really library musty action going
that funk,
on.
Yeah, like the Jim
the
Beam
funk,
funk.
the funk, exactly.
Yeah. I mean,
Bring
this
on
one,
the funk.
This wasn't as
I didn't get
much
the funk.
This one I really
funk.
like, though.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think they did an amazingly good job with this. They took some really good whiskey from,
old stocks.
From old stocks, but
These are 12 and 13-year-old stocks.
Well, they're not trying to throw a 18-year-old. They're taking the sweet spot. I mean, really, we all know bourbon. 8 to 12. Yeah, 10 to 12. I mean, that's the sweet spot. Past that, honestly, it's a crapshoot. I mean, you never know where it's going to go. So, I mean, they're taking some really good stuff, blending it out. I mean, I got a lot of like cocoa, like Dutch cocoa on this. I got a lot of orange in this, baking spice on the nose. And it's curious. I want to try just a touch of water in this and see if it pops the nose like the last one. Not really a lot of change on the nose, but on the palate, I mean, it's extremely well constructed. I can almost see where Justin's going with it. It's not quite oily, but it's definitely got a good mouth coat. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, that's a solid bourbon. Just sweet enough. I think
that. Bob likes this bourbon.
Yeah, it's got a
lot.
It's got just enough wood in it.
Waxing poetic.
It's got just enough wood in it that it hits where you need to go, but it doesn't have that old funk wood to it.
He builds you up and then he drops
really
you
does.
like a brick.
I think it's getting warm in here, actually.
Yes.
Yeah, I think
I'm glad I wear my hip waders.
We're all getting the Kentucky hug.
I'm glad I brought my hip waders because I'm knee deep in.
I give this one a 4.
That's classified.
But that being said, we were doing the Remus. Well, like I said, they had done a one-off a while back, which was the Metzi Select, and I happen to have a bottle of it here. So I figured I'd pour some of that.
I'm not sure he's going to share that.
I figured I'd try this one because this one, much like this Repeal Reserve, is a blend. This one was a 2015 as a 38% 2006 bourbon at 21%, 3% 2006 bourbon at 36% rye, and 59% 2008 bourbon at 21% rye. And I haven't had this in a while, so I just figured I would pass this one around and we would give it a shot and see just, what we're looking at as far as difference. And
You're speechless.
It's very reminiscent, honestly. But I think the Remus has got it beat. Yeah, the Remus has got more. It's got more of that old wood to it. It's got a lot more tannin to it. But it's. I mean, you can tell it came from the same place. You could take this and you could pour
How
these.
How long's that bottle been open?
Well, this is nice.
A while.
It's more than half full, though.
Yeah.
So it shouldn't have.
I mean, this. If I put these two down in front of you and you had no idea what they were, I'd ask you, were these made by the same place? You'd be able to take these and go, yeah, these are definitely from the same place.
It's very similar.
Yeah.
A little more heat.
Yeah. This has got a little more heat, but it doesn't have as much of the, not as much of the wood. It doesn't taste as
heat,
mature.
But I definitely see the similarity. They're
don't get the
definitely
heat
brothers.
either.
I don't get heat at all.
Yeah.
To me, this is delightful.
I like the nose of the Remus. But
the Remus has got the better nose.
Very nice.
And the Remus has got a lot more of the wood tannin to it. It's got.
This doesn't have the nose, but I'll tell you what, I wouldn't pour this out of my glass.
Definitely not.
Exactly. That's why. Nice. That's why when I was able to get that, and I knew that was available. That's why I grabbed it.
You're holding out.
Yeah. I mean, this one's pretty good too. I give this one a solid 3+. So.
I like this.
I'll take that home and we'll talk
better,
about it later.
Hey, I like my stuff from MGP, man.
Yeah.
I know. As much as you'd like to dislike them for being giant and not being small and crafty, they make some good juice. I mean, there's nothing wrong with anything they make.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, they've had so much practice going back to the Seagram's days, because they've made so many different styles of whiskey in that place over the years.
They've got old stocks. They're not just pumping out new make spirit.
Do they have one master distiller, or is it like a group of people?
They have one guy. I met him. I can't remember his name though. But I met him in Chicago. I think it was the year before. It was right after Greg left. He came in and took over, but his name escapes me at this point, and I don't have time to flip up the internet and find it. So,
what else are you holding back, Bob?
Not bloody much, let me tell you. All right, well, that's about all the time we have for today. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and you can catch all of our episodes online, as well as on SoundCloud, TuneIn, Stitcher, YouTube, Google Play, PRX, and Spreaker, our native media host. iTunes, Google Play, and your own Android app are the easiest way to enjoy this show on your phone. Just search Sips, Suds, and Smokes on iTunes or in the Google Play Store. Or if you have Alexa or Siri or any of those, just say, play podcast, Sips, Suds, and Smokes, and we'll pop right up. We love your feedback. You can reach us online at info@Sips, Suds, and Smokes. Our daily tasting notes float on Twitter every day at Sips, Suds, and Smokes. And our Facebook page is always buzzing with lots of news. You'll also be able to interact with the thousands of other fans on these social media platforms. Do us a favor and take the time to rate this episode if you're listening to us online. It's a big help to us, and it helps us see your feedback as well. I want to thank our co-hosts for joining us today. Thank you, Denise.
Thank you for having me, Bob.
Thank you, Mr. Happy.
Thank you, Bob. I'm so happy to be here. I'm glad I wore my hip waders because my toes are dry and warm.
We miss Harmeet.
Deep here in the basement.
We have nobody to pick on when Harmeet's
It's deep
not
here in the basement today.
There's no Harmeet here. Thank you, Justin.
Thank you, Bob.
All right. And for Sips, Suds, and Smokes, this is Made Man Bob. We want to thank you for joining us. And remember, life is too short to drink bad whiskey.
Well, you got it right, even without Harmeet being here.
Well, once in a while, I can actually do something without Harmeet being here, you know.
Well, I'm a little concerned as to what's happening to the co-hosts. They seem to be disappearing.
Well, yeah, we're missing him, and we're
Bob
missing
has a
Brad.
backhoe. He knows how to use a backhoe.
Yeah, I know, but the way you and Bob look at each other from across the table makes me a little nervous. Not to mention that new deep freezer Bob has in the corner over there.
Mm.
This has been a One Tan Hand production of Sips, Suds, and Smokes, a program devoted to the appreciation of some of the finer slices of life. From the Dude in the Basement Studios, your hosts, the Good Old Boys, will see you all next time.